Today I want to speak to all the women who carry strength in their soul, but sometimes feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. You are powerful, not because you raise your voice, but because you have learned when to stay silent. Not because you win every battle, but because you choose which battles are worth fighting. But here's the truth every powerful woman must eventually accept. Life won't always clap for your strength. It won't always validate your worth. You will love deeply and sometimes be misunderstood. You will stand tall and yet be asked to kneel. You will give your all and still be questioned. So today, we're not here to talk about how to become powerful. You already are. We are here to talk about what every powerful woman needs to accept about this life so you don't carry unnecessary pain or waste your precious energy on things that cannot be changed. Life, my friends, is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be understood and accepted. Let's take a journey today with real stories, with wisdom, and with reflection, and understand the beautiful truths that can set you free from unnecessary expectations and allow you to shine with grace, peace, and poise. There will be moments in your life where you stand up for yourself, choose a different path, or stay calm in a heated situation, and instead of being appreciated, you'll be judged. You may choose silence over argument, grace over anger, and kindness over revenge, not because you are weak, but because you have evolved. But strangely, the world may interpret this as passivity. Some might say, why didn't you speak up? Or why didn't you fight harder? And you will feel a strange ache inside, wondering if they are right. But deep down, you know this. Strength doesn't always look like shouting louder or reacting faster. Sometimes true strength is found in restraint. Think about this. If someone throws a stone into still water, there's a splash, then ripples, and then eventually peace. But if the water reacts wildly, it never settles. A powerful woman is like that still water. She knows when to respond, and more importantly, when to stay still. And that silence, that stillness, is a decision. It's a strength that many won't understand because the world often equates power with noise. Take an example from daily life. A working mother, she wakes up early, prepares food, sends her children to school, rushes to work, meets deadlines, handles office politics, returns home, helps with homework, cooks dinner, and manages the emotional temperature of the entire household. She doesn't make grand speeches about her sacrifices. She doesn't expect applause for her time management or her emotional labor. But does her silence make her less strong, or does it make her unshakable? Most people will never fully understand the patience, the emotional self-control, and the sheer determination it takes to do that day after day. And yet, she carries on, not to be understood, but because it is her purpose. Similarly, consider a woman who chooses to walk away from a toxic relationship. She doesn't make a scene, she doesn't post about it on social media, she just quietly chooses herself, her peace, her worth. But people whisper, she gave up too easily. What they don't see is the nights she cried herself to sleep, the times she forgave beyond reason, and the moments she doubted her own worth just to hold on to someone who couldn't love her right. That quiet departure wasn't weakness, it was courage. We live in a world that idolizes loudness. If you're loud, you're noticed. If you're loud, you're perceived as confident. But confidence isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the woman who chooses to listen rather than interrupt, who chooses peace over validation, who chooses not to prove her worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding her. One of the hardest truths to accept as a powerful woman is that not everyone is ready for the version of you that no longer seeks approval. When you grow, evolve, and let go of the need to be liked, you stop performing. And when you stop performing, some people will label you as distant, arrogant, or cold. But you're not being any of those things. You're simply protecting your energy. You've learned that it's okay if not everyone claps when you win. It's okay if not everyone celebrates your growth. You are no longer living for the audience. You are living from your core. Let me remind you of something profound. The tree doesn't stop growing just because no one is watching. It grows quietly, firmly, deeply, and one day, when it's tall and giving shade, people gather beneath it in awe. Your strength is like that tree. It doesn't need to shout. It just needs to grow. So yes, not everyone will understand your strength. Some will misunderstand your peace for weakness. Some will question your choices, your boundaries, your silence, and that's okay. You don't owe the world an explanation for choosing peace over chaos. You don't need to explain why you walked away, why you chose rest, or why you stopped overgiving. The truth is, a powerful woman knows that being misunderstood is often the cost of authenticity. Your job is not to convince the world of your power. Your job is to live it, humbly, quietly, steadily, because real strength doesn't seek applause. It simply is. There comes a time in every powerful woman's life when she starts to feel distant from the very people she once held close. The conversations don't flow the same way. The laughter doesn't echo like it used to. The connection that once felt unbreakable now feels forced. And for a while, she questions herself. Am I changing too much? Why do I feel so disconnected? Am I the problem? But with time and reflection, she begins to understand this isn't betrayal. This is a process that she's in right now with every day. Am I the problem? But with time and reflection, she begins to understand this isn't betrayal. This is a process that she is to go through. This is evolution. Growth is a silent force. It doesn't always come with fireworks or loud announcements. It happens quietly. When you start reading different books, asking deeper questions, craving more peace, seeking real connection instead of shallow validation. And when that growth begins, you naturally start shedding what no longer fits. Not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. Think of a butterfly. The moment we seek to settle down, to knit, to let ourselves rest, we begin to nudge in all our suffering, not out of necessity. Think of a butterfly. The scorching rain, the cold night, the snow, the salt night, the snow in the wind, the snow in the... Before it takes flight, it has to let go of its cocoon. It cannot take the shell with it. It cannot carry what once protected it, because now it would only weigh it down. The same applies to people. Some were meant to be part of your cocoon phase, your past, your comfort zone, your old identity. But not all of them are meant to fly with you. Let's take an example from daily life. A woman starts to prioritize her mental health. She stops gossiping. She stops over-explaining. She starts going to therapy. She creates morning routines. She becomes more aware of her energy, of her patterns, of her emotional triggers. But suddenly, the friends who once filled her weekends now call her too serious, or too distant, or too busy. What they don't see is that she's not pulling away, she's pulling inward, toward healing, toward peace, toward purpose. This shift feels lonely at first, because growth often is. It requires you to step into new spaces where you don't yet know the language, where you're not yet fully understood. But the reward of staying true to your evolution is far greater than the comfort of staying small just to maintain familiar relationships. Outgrowing people isn't an act of superiority, it's an act of alignment. You're not walking away because you think you're better than them. You're walking away because your path is now different. You no longer want to bond over drama. You no longer want to waste time proving your worth. You want depth. You want truth. You want peace. And not everyone is ready for that. Sometimes it's the people you love the most who won't understand your growth. A childhood friend who feels left behind. A family member who says, "You've changed." And they're right, you have. But change isn't betrayal. It's the most honest thing you can do for yourself. To honor who you're becoming more than who you were. There's a painful beauty in realizing that love can exist without closeness. That some relationships were meant to teach you, not to stay with you forever. That walking away doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means you're awake. Awake to the fact that staying connected to what no longer nurtures you is a slow form of self-abandonment. You're allowed to love people and still leave. You're allowed to be thankful for what they gave you and still recognize that your chapter with them has ended. You're allowed to say, "This no longer feels right," even if it once felt like everything. Outgrowing people is one of the hardest parts of personal growth. It requires maturity, compassion, and courage, but it also opens the door for new relationships that match the woman you're becoming, not the woman you used to be. And when those new connections arrive, people who see you, hear you, understand your boundaries, respect your journey, you'll realize that you were never losing anything. You were making room for more aligned energy. So if you're in that space right now, where old friendships feel like tight shoes, where conversations no longer nourish you, where you feel the silent guilt of leaving familiar circles, know this: you are not wrong for growing. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You are not disloyal for walking away. You are simply becoming who you were always meant to be. And in that becoming, some will stay, some will leave, and some new souls will arrive, carrying the same frequency as your truth. Don't fear the letting go. Trust the unfolding. Because your growth isn't a threat. It's your rebirth. And any relationship that cannot rise with you was never meant to cage your wings in the first place. She's too much. How many times has a strong woman heard those words? Too loud, too opinionated, too emotional, too intense, too independent, too ambitious, too everything. And each time those words are spoken, even if with a laugh, even if passed off as a joke, they strike a nerve. Because they don't just describe how she is, they carry a subtle message that how she is somehow wrong. From childhood, many girls are taught to shrink, to sit with their knees together, to speak softly, to apologize before expressing themselves, to not take up too much space. So when a woman rises up and breaks those silent rules, when she dares to take up space, to use her voice, to say no when something doesn't feel right, suddenly she's labeled as too much. But have you ever paused to wonder, what if her too much is exactly what the world needs more of? What if her too much is exactly what the world needs more of? Take a woman who stands firm in her boundaries. She doesn't allow disrespect. She says what she means, and she means what she says. Some will say she's too rigid, but maybe they're just not used to a woman who doesn't bend to be liked. Maybe they've never seen someone honor their own worth that fiercely. Think about the woman who speaks passionately about what she believes in. Her voice rises. Her eyes light up. She doesn't sugarcoat the truth. And people say she's too aggressive or too dramatic. But would they say the same if she were a man? Or is it just that the world isn't comfortable with a woman who refuses to stay silent? There's the woman who loves deeply, not halfway, not with caution, but with her whole heart. She shows up. She remembers birthdays. She sends voice notes when she misses you. She'll notice when your smile doesn't reach your eyes and ask, "Are you really okay?" And what does she hear? "You're too sensitive, too emotional." As if caring deeply is a flaw. As if the depth of her empathy is a burden to others. And what about the dreamers? The women who say, "I want to build something extraordinary. I want to travel the world. I want to start my own business. I want to live life on my own terms." They're met with laughter or caution. "Don't aim too high. What if you fail? Shouldn't you be more realistic?" But she's not interested in a small life. She knows that to shrink her dreams just to fit in would be the real failure. She is not too much, she is full. Full of fire, full of faith, full of vision. She laughs loudly because she's tasted sorrow and still chooses joy. She dances freely because she's broken free from cages that tried to contain her. She laughs loudly because she's broken free from cages that tried to contain her. She dances freely because she's broken free from cages that tried to contain her. She loves deeply because she knows what it feels like to be unseen, and she refuses to let others feel the same. But the world isn't always ready for fullness. It's uncomfortable with intensity. It prefers women to be polite, agreeable, soft-spoken. So when she shows up as her whole self, unapologetically, the labels start to fly. But here's the truth. Being too much for some people just means she's not meant for small spaces. She's not here to dilute her essence, to make others feel comfortable. She's not here to tone herself down so others won't feel insecure. She's not here to become less so someone else can feel more. In daily life, you see this everywhere. In meetings, where a woman speaks up with a new idea, only to be told later, "That was a bit intense." In relationships, where she's asked to be quieter, calmer, less emotional. In families, where her assertiveness is mistaken for rebellion. And still she continues, not because it's easy, but because authenticity is more sacred than approval. She's not hard to love. She just needs someone who isn't afraid of the depth of her soul. She's not difficult. She just values truth more than pretense. She's not too much. She's exactly the amount that real life, real love, and real change require. So to every woman who's ever been told she's too much, know this: the world needs you exactly as you are. Don't let the discomfort of others convince you to quiet your light. Don't let their fear of your power make you question your own. You weren't born to fit in someone else's comfort zone. You were born to challenge, to inspire, to awaken. Let them say you're too much, and let that be your confirmation that you're not living small. Because you're too much might just be the permission another woman needs to finally become her full self. We live in a world that often measures a woman's value by her relationship status, whether she is married, in a relationship, engaged, or has children. It's as if your entire identity is boxed into a label: single, taken, divorced, widowed. And when you don't fit the ideal narrative that society expects, you're made to feel like something is missing. But the truth is this: your worth was never meant to be confined within the limits of someone else's presence in your life. From a young age, girls are raised to dream of weddings. Fairy tales teach them that their story begins when they are chosen by a prince. Movies repeat the same message over and over again, that true happiness arrives when someone else walks in and completes you. But what if the real completion happens when you meet yourself? What if the most sacred union is the one between your soul and your purpose? There are countless women around the world who are unmarried, not by circumstance, but by choice. They are building careers, traveling the world, nurturing their passions, serving their communities, and growing spiritually. And yet, every time they return home, someone asks, "When are you going to settle down?" As if their life, their dreams, their journey, none of it counts until a ring is placed on their finger. But you see, the word settling down should never mean settling for less. Your journey is valid whether or not it includes a partner. Let's consider a daily life scenario. A woman in her 30s, living alone, thriving in her career, content in her solitude. She eats meals by herself, attends weddings alone, buys her own birthday cake, and takes herself on vacations. She has built a beautiful, peaceful life, but every family gathering echoes the same question: still single? No one asks her if she's happy. No one asks her what book changed her life this month or what new goals she's working on. Because in the eyes of society, her success isn't complete without someone to share it with. But what they miss is this: she is sharing it with herself, with the world, with the people she serves, the teams she leads, the dreams she nurtures. It's important to understand that being in a relationship is not a reward, and being single is not a punishment. And now, I'll give you a prompt. You are not the average of your people. It's important to understand that being in a relationship is not a reward, and being single is not a punishment. Both are states of life. Neither defines who you are at your core. The idea that a woman is incomplete without a partner is one of the most harmful lies we've ever been taught. You are not half of anything. You are a whole person. Your joy, your peace, your strength, your beauty, none of it depends on whether someone has claimed you. You were born whole, and you will always be whole. Being single doesn't mean you're lonely. And being in a relationship doesn't always mean you're fulfilled. The goal is not just to find someone, it's to find yourself first. To be so grounded in your self-worth, so rooted in your values, so clear in your vision, that you're never tempted to settle for something just because society told you that time is running out. Time is not running out. Life is not rush you. The right relationship will not rush you. It will find you when your soul is ready, not when the calendar says it's time. And while you wait, or even if you never wait, live fully. Love your own company. Travel, learn, rest, heal, grow. Because the love you seek in someone else is often the love you must first offer to yourself. Remember this: a powerful woman doesn't wait to be chosen. She chooses herself every single day. She celebrates herself on her good days and holds herself through the hard ones. She is not defined by who is standing beside her, but by the fire that burns within her. She doesn't wait for someone to validate her worth. She lives it out loud. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not lacking. Your story is unfolding exactly as it should. Whether your path includes a life partner or not, whether your chapter today is solitude or companionship, know this: you are enough. Not because someone says so, but because you have always been. And when you truly believe that, your energy changes. You stop chasing love, you start attracting it. The kind of love that aligns with your values, honors your journey, and never makes you question your worth. So walk into the world with your head high, wear your singleness like a crown, not a burden. Let your life be a reflection of joy, purpose, and presence. You don't need a relationship status to prove your importance. You already matter. You already shine. You already are worthy, just as you are. You already matter. You already have importance. You already deserve love, care, support, and conversation. You already are. You already have a voice. You already have a power. You already have a power to add, to be. There's a common misconception that being kind means always being available, always saying yes, always stretching yourself thin to meet others' needs. Especially for women, kindness is often linked with self-sacrifice, as if your ability to serve everyone else at the cost of yourself is the measure of your goodness. But that's not kindness. That's exhaustion. That's burnout, hiding behind a smile. True kindness does not require the abandonment of boundaries. It does not ask you to silence your own needs or ignore your own limits. Real kindness begins with self-respect. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for others is to say no. Not with anger, not with arrogance, but with clarity, calm, and compassion. Imagine this: a woman is known in her circle as the one who's always there. She shows up, she helps, she fixes, she fills in. She never says no, even when her plate is already overflowing. She's applauded for being dependable. People say she's such a giver, but deep inside, she's running on fumes. Her smile has begun to feel heavy. Her evenings are filled with silent frustration. And one day she realizes she's pouring from an empty cup. Her kindness has become a currency that everyone is spending, but no one is replenishing. So she decides to set a boundary. The next time someone asks for a favor she genuinely cannot manage, she says, "I'm so sorry, I'm unable to help this time." Not because she doesn't care, but because she's finally learned to care for herself. And suddenly, the praise stops. People say she's changed. And yes, she has. She's no longer confusing kindness with people pleasing. That moment, that quiet, powerful no, is her breakthrough. You can, do. In daily life, you'll find many such moments. Saying no to working overtime because your body needs rest. Saying no to a friend who only calls when they need something. Saying no to a gathering that drains your energy. Saying no to staying silent just to keep the peace. Each of these moments isn't rejection. They are acts of self-preservation, of dignity, of wisdom. And here's something important to remember. Saying no does not make you rude. It does not make you selfish. It makes you clear. It means you understand your capacity. It means you respect your emotional and mental well-being enough to not stretch beyond your limit for the sake of keeping everyone else comfortable. We are conditioned to believe that a good woman is always giving. But a powerful woman knows this. Kindness without boundaries is enabling. Love without self-care is depletion. Good 10. Service without rest is unsustainable. There's a beautiful analogy often used in wisdom circles. Imagine you are a cup. What you give to others must come from the overflow, not from your reserve. Your first responsibility is to keep your own cup full. Only then can you offer from a place of joy, not resentment. Being kind and saying no can coexist beautifully. You can decline an invitation with warmth. Thank you for thinking of me, but I won't be able to join. You can set a limit without guilt. I'd love to help, but I only have this much time today. You can love someone deeply and still walk away if they are not treating you with respect. That too is kindness, to them and to yourself. The world may not always understand this version of kindness. They may call you cold, distant, different, but in reality, you're evolving. You're becoming someone who gives out of abundance, not obligation. Now, right now, there is a woman who is bored and blue to herself, not obligation. Someone who knows that your time, your energy, your love are sacred offerings, not unlimited resources. Saying no is not shutting the door. It's choosing when and how the door opens. It's being mindful of who you allow into your space. It's ensuring that your kindness flows from authenticity, not fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being disliked, fear of not being enough. But you are enough, not because you say yes to everything, but because you say yes to everything. Not because you bend until you break. You are enough simply because you exist. And your peace matters just as much as the peace you create for others. So the next time your heart hesitates and your body tightens because you want to say no but feel guilty, breathe, pause. Remind yourself that you can still be kind and decline. You can be graceful and firm. You can be loving and strong, because real kindness is not about giving all of yourself away. It's about giving from a place that honors both you and them. And when you live with that balance, your kindness becomes more powerful, more sustainable, and more deeply respected. Not just by others, but most importantly, by yourself. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, though it rarely arrives with a gentle hand. It comes through heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, loss, failure, sometimes silently, sometimes violently, but always with a lesson wrapped inside its sting. For a powerful woman, pain is not the end of her story. It is the beginning of a deeper chapter, one where she doesn't just rise but transforms. You see, we live in a society that teaches women to be strong by pretending everything is fine. Don't cry, move on, be a queen, smile, and act like it doesn't hurt. And so, many women walk through life carrying invisible wounds behind polished smiles. But the truth is, hiding pain doesn't make you stronger. It makes you quieter in your suffering. Real power begins when you stop hiding your scars and start owning them. Imagine a woman who went through a divorce after years of holding on to a broken marriage. Putting on anti-Semitism was not the answer. A similar consideration could hold us back to be more honest, more real, more proud. 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 On the outside, she's back at work, handling her responsibilities. But inside, she's navigating loneliness, self-doubt, and guilt. Everyone says, "You're so strong," but no one sees her when she's sitting alone at night, replaying memories she can't undo. At first, she tries to bury the pain, keep herself busy, act unaffected. But eventually she breaks, softly, privately, and in that breaking, she finds something unexpected: clarity. She begins to write, to meditate, to ask herself, what do I really want now? That pain, once suffocating, slowly becomes a compass, guiding her toward a life that's more honest, more aligned, more free. Pain, when faced with courage, becomes power. Think of the lotus flower. It blooms beautifully, but only from the mud. Without the dirt, without the darkness, without the pressure beneath the water, the lotus would never rise. You are the same. The pain you've experienced, the betrayal that made you question your worth, the failure that shook your confidence, the loss that hollowed your heart, none of it was wasted. It was the mud from which your strength is growing. In daily life, pain can show up in small, constant ways. The friend who suddenly becomes distant, the job opportunity that slips away, the dream you pursued that didn't turn out how you expected. Each of these moments, if you allow them, can turn into fuel. Fuel for introspection, for self-love, for boundaries, for better choices. But only if you stop pretending you're unaffected and start letting yourself feel. The world doesn't need more women who are experts at hiding pain. The world needs women who can say, yes, I hurt, but I healed, and I'm still healing, and I'm still standing. Because that honesty, that vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength, it is leadership. It's what makes others feel seen. There's something beautiful that happens when you embrace your pain instead of running from it. You become softer where you used to be hard. You listen more, you judge less. You become compassionate, not only with others, but with yourself. You stop pushing yourself to always be perfect and instead start becoming whole. Being powerful doesn't mean you don't cry. It means you know how to wipe your own tears and still keep walking. It means you understand that healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel like you've moved on. Other days it will feel like you're back at day one. But through it all, you're growing. You're evolving. You don't have to wear your pain as a badge, but don't bury it like it never happened. Let it live in your story. Let it inform your decisions. Let it deepen your empathy. Let it be the reason you rise with more intention, more love, more truth. A powerful woman doesn't avoid pain, she alchemizes it. She turns rejection into redirection. She turns heartbreak into heart opening. She turns failure into focus. She turns wounds into wisdom. So if you're carrying pain today, don't rush to numb it. Sit with it. Write about it. Pray through it. Talk to someone. Let the pain speak. Not so it controls you, but so it can teach you. Because one day you'll look back and realize the thing you thought would break you actually rebuilt you. You are not broken because you've been hurt. You are becoming. You are rising from the ashes of old versions of yourself. Stronger, softer, wiser. And the world needs that version of you. Not the one who hides the pain, but the one who shines through it. This is your power. Not in pretending to be untouched, but in showing that even when life tried to silence you, you chose to rise and speak, live, and love louder than ever before.